So I'm 46, which means I'm getting to an age where I'm seeing a lot of people my age and older talking about how much better things were back in olden times. And by olden times, I mean when old people were young. And they make a lot of good points. You see it all over Instagram and Facebook. And they do. They make a lot of good points with the possible exception of the fact that they're completely 100% wrong. Things were not better when I was a kid. For instance, let's say you wanted to listen to some music. Maybe you just heard Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart and you were like, wow, I'd love to listen to that when it wasn't on the radio. You couldn't just, go to a magic rectangle that had all of the music in the world on it. You had to drive to a store that just sold music, go into that store, look another human being in the eye, say something along the lines of, I would like to buy that new Billy Ray Cyrus song. And then you had to buy a CD that cost $20, which in 1992 money is $35,000. Your two choices were buy a Billy Ray Cyrus Some Gave All CD or down payment on a house. Those were your choices. The movies weren't better. We only think that the movies are better because we remember all the good movies. There was two Speed movies. Only one of them was good. And at the same time they were coming out with Speed movies, Pauly Shore released 4 movies in the movie theaters. Biodome exists. All right. Things were worse when we were younger. There was more homophobia. There was more misogyny. There was more transphobia. It was a mess. So why do people say that it's better? Simple. Because they were young. And when you're young, everything is better. It had nothing to do with how we were living. We weren't living great. Things were boring. There were still rotary phones in the 90s. We think of it as a good time because our prostates were still working. When you're in your 40s, your prostates are kind of like hotel Wi-Fi. It's there and it works sometimes, but not all the time and never well. But when we look back on the times when we were young and strong and attractive and our prostates worked whenever we needed them to, we think that was a good time. So my advice to young people out there is this, twofold. Number one, don't listen to old people reminiscing about their youth. If they went back to 1975 right now, they would be miserable. Advice number two, 25 years from now, don't reminisce like we are. Oh, it's so much better in 2023 before we had holograms we could have sex with. I'm sure the holograms are a lot more fun than the world you're living in right now. The only time you're allowed to reminisce about the past being better is if there is the small chance that we run out of all resources and fight a Mad Max style war in an apocalyptic future. In which case, you can look back on the days of YouTube shorts with fondness. Otherwise, just relax, stop listening to old people, and if you are old, stop making a fool out of yourself. Enjoy the world you're living in and stop complaining that you're not living in the world that you were 22 in.